Good morning, I'm Susan Pertnoy. Welcome to Mosaic, Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County's weekly news magazine show. Anti-Semitism and anti-Israeli sentiment are plaguing national discourse, including in national and global politics. Today, we're talking with experts about what is fueling the increase in hate crimes and hate speech right now. We'll be back with Mosaic after this brief commercial break.
If it wasn't for the financial assistance, I couldn't come here.
Every little bit helps. She says, I get stronger every day.
When you have a child and you want the absolute best for them, it's twice as important to make the community strong.
We have over 100 Porsches out of the sun and rain in our 6-story parking garage.
So it's easy to find your dream car at Porsche West Palm Beach.
Porsche West Palm Beach, the #1 Porsche certified pre-owned center with the largest selection in Florida. Visit BraemonPorsche.com.
Picture living aboard a luxury cruise ship with first-class service and the best amenities 24/7. Life at Tradition is just like a cruise ship that doesn't leave port. With more fabulous food, more fun with friends and family, a more fulfilling future, more care when you need it, and more freedom when you don't. Our elegant assisted living residences provide so much more, so you can make the most of every day. Rent an apartment at Morse Life and see how much more life can be.
There is a new brand of anti-Semitism taking hold in this country. Join us as we hear from an esteemed panel of leaders of the progressive movement to understand the language of this new anti-Semitism. Join us on Wednesday, April 3rd from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Mandel JCC in Palm Beach Gardens, or on Thursday, April 4th from 10 a.m. to noon at Indian Springs Country Club in Boynton Beach. Make your reservation by calling 561-242-6671 or by emailing jcrc@jewishpalmbeach.org. Joining us today is the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt. Welcome to Mosaic.
Thank you for having me.
You definitely have a global perspective on anti-Semitism. Where is our country vis-a-vis that today?
Unfortunately, anti-Semitism is on the rise.
Can you tell about some of the statistics
Sure.
of recent years?
In 2017, we saw the single largest surge of anti-Semitic incidents. A 57% spike included nearly a doubling of anti-Semitic incidences at K-12 schools and nearly a 90% increase on colleges and university campuses. And when I talk about incidences, just to be clear, I'm talking about not only acts of violence or vandalism, I'm also talking about acts of harassment, bullying, the kind of intimidation that might not rise to the level of a crime, so it might not get the attention of law enforcement, but it gets our attention.
You know, with online, words are very powerful, and also words spoken by people in public office
That's right.
are also extraordinarily detrimental and dangerous.
Yeah.
That being said, Ilhan Omar recently spoke terrible words in Congress. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So I think to your point, anti-Semitism comes in many forms, and we have to be vigilant wherever it appears, right? So whenever it's in the public conversation, whether you're seeing it online or you're seeing it offline. But in terms of offline, indeed, the comments by Representative Omar over the last several weeks have caught the country's attention, and certainly our community, because she repeated not once, not twice, 3 times, the kind of anti-Semitic charges that have been used to marginalize and victimize Jews for hundreds of years, suggesting that we have some kind of dual loyalty, that we're forcing people to pledge allegiance to a foreign power. Some people have said that her comments were about criticism of Israel, but that is not the case. There are plenty of ways you can criticize the government of Israel, its policies, without resorting to slander and stereotypes. You can open up any Israeli newspaper or website and see plenty of legitimate constructive criticism. No, what she did was different, pretending as if the Jews only care about money, or that we're buying off members of Congress, or again, that we're not loyal citizens of this country. Those kinds of charges have not only been around since the State of Israel was founded, Jews living in Europe, Jews living in the Middle East, literally for centuries have been subjected to discrimination and worse because of that charge.
You were very vocal about the resolution. Do you want to discuss that and
Sure.
how broad it became instead of just dealing with the anti-Semitic issue?
So look, so when she made she's made these comments repeatedly. So I wrote a letter, a public letter to Nancy Pelosi, calling for a resolution to condemn her anti-Semitism. Now, in the end, what happened was not exactly what I would have liked. We're not the only ones who called for it. I want to call out Ted Deutsch, the congressman from here in Southern Florida, who was an important leader on this and helped drive the debate. But I think what Congress ultimately did fell short of what we wanted. And the good news was the resolution did call out anti-Semitism. It did talk about dual loyalty and why it's so disgusting. And it was clear about that. But the bad news was, number one, this should have happened right away. There is nothing to debate. Prejudice has no place in a political conversation, period. That shouldn't have been an issue. And then number two, I think adding all this other stuff
diluted it.
Yeah, I mean, it is not appropriate to attack someone because of how they pray or where they're from or who they love. That has no place in America in 2019.
Jonathan, tell us about the climate in Europe right now. There seems to be a rise of anti-Semitism, and how is it affecting our country?
Well, so I think in Europe, you're seeing an even more complicated operating environment that we have here. The demography is different, the politics are different, the history is different. I spent just a couple weeks ago about a week in France and Germany, and just to give you an idea, in Germany, last year they saw a 60% rise of anti-Jewish crimes, and in France it was a 74% increase. Those are the issues in mainline or continental Europe are challenging. In the UK, it's kind of a political anti-Semitism where Jeremy Corbyn, who's the leader of the Labour Party, his unrepentant anti-Semitism and his unwillingness to confront the issues in his own political party, which for the long time was sort of the home of British Jews, led 9 of them to very publicly defect from Labour and create a new political party because of Corbyn's, you know, again, like unambiguous intolerance for Jewish people.
You know, the ADL and Federation have been partners in a lot of things.
That's
true. Exemplified by the riots in Charlottesville in 2017.
Yep.
Why is it so important for everybody to band together to fight this?
Look, I deeply believe in Jewish continuity. And Jewish continuity over the long term starts with community in the present. And I think Jewish Federation play a crucial role in creating sort of a foundational framework for our communities all over the country, whether it's in South Florida or in Virginia or anywhere in between. And in each of the communities where we operate, we work closely with JCRCs and closely with Federation. It's probably our most trusted partnership. And very specifically, we work together with the Secure Communities Network of Federation on communal security for Jewish institutions. Our synagogues, our schools, our JCCs have been targeted in recent years by anti-Semites, by bomb threats and whatnot. And so we're working together with SCAN to do some really important work for our community.
Since the tragedy at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, there have been more hate crimes. Do you think that fueled the fire for terrorists?
Well, we certainly know that hate crimes are horrific, not just for the trauma they inflict on the direct victims, but for the kind of terror that they inspire and that they create and engender among the broader population. In part, that's because of copycats. So after the shooting in Pittsburgh and Squirrel Hill, which is literally just a few months ago, we saw a spike in anti-Semitic incidents around the country. Literally, people see that and deranged folks take some degree of inspiration from it, which is why we need to remain vigilant. That was the most violent anti-Semitic attack in American history. Nothing had ever happened like that before. And it was roundly condemned by everyone from both parties at all levels. And yet, we've seen this spike. So we have no choice but to be focused on fighting the real enemies that we have, which is why from Federation to ADL, we've got to work together.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've run out of time.
Oh, that's it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, nice to talk with you.
Same here. Coming up on Mosaic, we'll hear why young people may be more vulnerable to anti-Semitic and anti-Israel rhetoric. There are few experiences that bring a family closer than an adventure in the land of Israel. Enjoy the magic of Hanukkah with your children or grandchildren on Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County's unforgettable, tailor-made journey through Israel's most magnificent sites and cities. It's happening December 22nd to 29th, 2019. Learn more and reserve your spot with the information on your screen.
Eat, drink, and enjoy Shabbat services at Temple Bethel's Friday night happenings. Cocktail reception and kosher dinner at 5:30, followed by our creative, musically driven Shabbat service. Traditional to progressive, the food and music change every Friday, and you'll want to stay for complimentary dessert.
Plan to spend the whole evening here, and you'll walk away and you'll say, wow, we're coming back next week. Welcome. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat services at Temple Bethel, open to everyone. Join us every Friday night.
Joining us are Adam Kollet. You are the Chief Executive Officer of Hillel in our community, which is the Center for Jewish Life on College Campus, and Josephine Gon, Vice President of the Jewish Community Relations Council, which is the public affair and advocacy arm of the Jewish Federation. Welcome to Mosaic.
Thank you.
I'd like to start with the boycott, divestments, and sanctions issue, which is commonly known as BDS. To some of our viewers that don't know what that is, would one of you explain what the BDS movement is?
So the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement is a sort of broad term that describes a movement to delegitimize, single out, and demonize the State of Israel. It started overseas in Europe and has spread to America. And it's based mostly in campuses where the move is to force universities to divest from Israel. And it takes a very ugly form in many instances where Israel is accused of an apartheid state. There's a lot of activity on campus that can be very hostile and very threatening to many Jews.
Why do you think the BDS movement is focused on college campuses?
Well, I think that college campuses are often a place of social activism, of where movements, or at least people think they get their start, or maybe they do get their start there. If you think back historically to the Vietnam War protests, to where apartheid South Africa got its start, even to Soviet Jewry, campus is often where a lot of these movements get their start.
I think that's a very important question, actually, because I think what we saw traditionally with boycott, divestment, sanctions movement has evolved into finding theoretical answers to the problem of Israel. So I think that's exactly on campuses, because this is where young people are. They don't always knowledgeable enough to understand what's going on. They're easily manipulated in terms of academic theory. So there's a new language. The language of that becomes mainstreamed into society. It's what becomes the truth, the academic truth. So it's a much more subtle version, and I think the real danger of all of this is that maybe because they haven't had success with divestment, they're now saying, you can join us, you can join our movements, but you have to check your Judaism and your Zionism at the door. Jews are not being allowed to have the same involvement in progressive organizations, which is where on campus so much of this happens, unless they give up certain things and beliefs that they have.
So how do both of your organizations work together to dispel the myths about Israel and anti-Semitism?
Well, it's a challenge, and we obviously work together because we need to. We're a small people, and it's a big task. So we work together in alliances where we can. We educate as best we can, both the Jewish and the non-Jewish community. and fight anti-Semitism, bigotry where we can. You know, it's got to be handled. It's got to be dealt with, because we know that what starts with Jews doesn't end with Jews. So many in the Jewish arena, we face the same issues. So the collective voice is the more important one.
And in many cases, the college campus may be where BDS is manifesting itself within the community, but it's often community players that are not current college students that are helping instigate a lot of the commotion. So whenever anything happens on campus, Joe and our JCRCs, we work closely with our federations. We let them know what's going on campus. We reach out if we need any kind of support, any kind of guidance. We know that our federations have our back and our students' back.
So both of your organizations do a lot of community outreach with interfaith groups and civic organizations. What do you feel like your objective is with them?
Well, certainly that is the essence of Jewish community relations. The fact is, we can't do this alone. We need friends, we need allies, and we reach out to the other groups, other people. But also because we're citizens of our society, and what goes on in our society matters to us as Jews as well. So we're concerned about what happens to other groups. But in order to have friends, we need to be friends, and we need to participate. So very much building relationships with other communities and other organizations is crucial.
And on college campuses, it's a microcosm of the larger society. The same things that we just heard are true. Building those connections between Jewish students and Jewish student groups and non-Jewish students is of the utmost importance for education about Israel, about being Jewish, and about the importance of working together towards a common cause.
Earlier, we heard about the rise in anti-Semitism in the United States and specifically on college campuses. Are you finding that on your particular campus?
Well, you know, we focus in Broward and Palm Beach, and these areas are a lot of Jewish students are on our campuses. A lot of Jewish people live in the neighborhood. So I don't think that we're seeing it quite as acutely as a number of other places around the country. That being said, absolutely, every single year there are incidents both of harassment or of challenges in partnering with certain groups on campus that have come up. And I don't think this was always the case. It seems like it is something that is being talked about more often, and we're keeping an eye on whether these incidents are increasing, and we're always addressing them whenever they do come up.
Tell us something positive that you see about young people today on college campuses and how they're dealing with issues.
That is my favorite topic to address. There is always more positive going on than negative, even though maybe it's our orientation of the world as Jews. We focus on the negative. Our students that are committed, are interested in building leadership skills. They care about being Jewish. They're passionate about being Jewish. In many cases, they may not have ingrained Jewish knowledge. They may not be coming to our Hillel having had a lot of Jewish education, but their pride in Israel and in being Jewish is just at the surface, and we really just need to tease it out, and then the students take it and run with it, and then they engage their peers in why they think being Jewish is exciting. And we see this in a lot of different programs, in a lot of different activities on campus.
Thank you. We have to take a break. We'll be right back with our final segment after this brief message. Coming up on Mosaic, we'll find out about hate speech on college campuses right here at home.
The Levin Palace at Morse Life is leasing luxury residences for ages 65 plus, offering more than first-class amenities and white glove service. Life at the Palace is like life aboard a luxury cruise ship, with more things to enjoy life now. More fabulous food, more fun, more friends, more family, more freedom, more future. Morse Life is more life. Live it at the Palace. Start your fabulous future now. Call 561-537-3402.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I could have bought my BMW anywhere, but at Freeman, I love my salesman, my BMW, and Club Freeman.
It's the Season of Love sales event. Enjoy exceptional offers at Brayman BMW, West Palm Beach and Jupiter. BraymanBMW.com.
If it wasn't for the financial assistance, I couldn't come here.
Every little bit helps. She says, I get stronger every day.
When you have a child and you want the absolute best for them, it's twice as important to make the community strong.
We're back with Adam Kollet, the director of Hillel, Broward County and Palm Beach County, and joining us are two students from FAU, juniors, Betsy Lampert and Delilah Bernier. Welcome to Mosaic.
Thank you.
First of all, Betsy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a junior at Florida Atlantic University. I've grown up in South Florida my whole life. And at school, I'm the president of our pro-Israel group, Owls for Israel, and I'm also the vice president of Israel engagement for Hillel of Broward and Palm Beach.
How about you, Delilah?
So I'm also a junior at FAU. I'm studying Jewish Studies and Communications, so a double major. I am also an RA on campus, and I'm the VP of Jewish Education at Hillel.
Very impressive, Adam.
These are incredible students.
Earlier we spoke about anti-Semitism not being so rampant on your college campus. Do you have any feelings about that, or are encountering any type of unusual situations?
So personally, for my time at FAU, I haven't been experiencing anti-Semitism or BDS, motives on campus. So for me, this time is the time we're using to educate our students on how do you handle it if it comes back? How do you build relationships with other organizations and students on campus and spread that positive message about Israel that we want to get across? So we're not dealing with the anti-Semitism firsthand right now, we're preparing for it too, if it ever comes back.
How about some of your friends? Have you heard about what their experiences are on other campuses?
Yeah, so I have friends that are on the student boards of their Hillels all over the country, and they have experienced some crazy things. I have friends that have had to walk past swastikas on their way to class. That's not fair. That's where they're going to learn. And for them to experience that in a place where they're trying to get an education is so unfair, and I'm so glad that we don't experience that at FAU.
Betsy, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, in many cases we know it's a matter of time, or it's a matter of being prepared. And I know these students, they're juniors now, but they know stories of when there were issues on their campus.
Apparently very close by at another campus. What's going on, Betsy?
A few weeks ago, there was an apartheid wall at FIU, and students had to walk past a wall that was saying that, Israel kills babies, and this is not okay, and we need to put an end to it. And that's just not the reality of the situation, and to have that situation only an hour away from our campus and other campuses in Florida that are dealing with these situations, it becomes a little alarming. It's exactly that. When will it happen to us again?
Do you have any explanation of why you think it's not on your campus?
So a few years ago, we did have a presence of anti-Semitism on campus. We had students get eviction notices on their dorm doors, and we were lucky that we had organizations back us up. Hillel had a very strong relationship with, the administration at FAU and student government, and our school, from what people have told me, really came together and said, this is not the type of environment we want to have on FAU's campus, and put an end to it, and got SJP off campus and got this sentiment out of our environment.
That's very powerful, Adam.
Well, we have a wonderful community that supports the work that we do with our students. Our community knows that these two young ladies and their peers are going to settle right here in Palm Beach County and Broward County right after they graduate, and we need to make sure that the South Florida Jewish community remains a strong, central, and Zionistic community.
What type of programs are you doing at Hillel?
Oh, we do a lot of different programs. When it comes to different things that we're doing for Israel, I'd let our president of Owls for Israel talk a little bit about how she works with her student group to make sure that there's a positive message of Israel on campus.
A program that we did last semester was we did an Israel wax museum where we showcased influential Israeli women. We dressed up as them, and we went up to different students and really pressed our button, and we gave a whole spiel about who these women are, what did they contribute to society, how did they influence Israel, and it helped students on campus to learn, wow, like these women and Israelis are doing things for the outside community, and I can relate to those things they were doing, and it was really powerful. It was amazing.
Delilah, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so as the VP of Jewish Education, one of my proudest programs that I put together is called DIY Shabbat, and it's an opportunity for all kinds of students that are just walking to class to create their own materials for Shabbat. So like Shabbat candles, challah, grape juice, that they can take with them along with the prayers that are said on Shabbat. So they can really get a feel for what Judaism is about, and also to have that impression of generosity and hospitality when they think of Jews. And when they think of Jewish people, I want them to think of us, to think of Hillel, to think of the time that they made a Shabbat candle, and so that they really have that good impression. I really think that that also helps us to stop anti-Semitism.
And Susan, there is one other program that both Delilah and Betsy have helped us get off the ground. This May, for the first time, we are going to be taking 20 non-Jewish student leaders to Israel, to experience Israel, to see it with their own eyes, to wrestle with the challenge in the Middle East, the conflict, the complexity, and we're pretty confident that these 20 student leaders in key positions throughout the campus are going to come back much more aware of the real story of what really is going on in Israel.
It is so important for you to do that because we recently had a community study, and the community study showed that more young families are moving into our area. That being said, the dynamic of the family has changed, and there's at least one non-Jewish person as part of that family. So you have to have the interfaith buy-in to be relevant for the future.
Absolutely, and Hillel is an open and inclusive atmosphere where we're proud to be Jewish, we're proud to be Zionists, and we welcome everybody, and slowly we're educating our students, and you see the products, they're wonderful.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was terrific.
Thank you.
Mosaic is brought to you by these generous sponsors and underwriters. Learn how you can support Mosaic by visiting jewishpalmbeach.org/mosaic.